Good morning to everyone who is here in attendance at the Board of Public Works meeting in the hearing room. Today is Wednesday, September 27th. If there are any members of the public who wish to offer public comment or commentary on any of our items, there are speaker cards located in the table in the back of the room. If you'd kindly fill one out and hand it to me to indicate which item you'd like to speak on. Also, good morning to our attendees and bureau representatives joining us via the Zoom virtual platform. If there are any members of the public who would like to offer commentary on any of our items on the Zoom virtual platform, please press *9 to raise your hand, *6 to unmute, identify yourself and which item you'd like to speak on. I will record your information for the record. And seeing no hands raised, I will make one more call out for public comment in about 5 minutes. I'm anticipating that we will get started a little bit late this morning, probably around 10:12. Thank you. Once again, good morning to our attendees for the Board of Public Works meeting of September 27th who are here with us in person in the hearing room. If there's any members of the public who wish to offer commentary on any of our items or public comment today in the hearing room, please fill out a speaker card located on the table in the back of the room and note your information and which item you'd like to speak on and hand it to me. And good morning also to our attendees and our Bureau reps joining us via the Zoom virtual platform. If there's anyone from the public on the Zoom platform who wishes to offer public comment or commentary on any of our items on our agenda this morning, please press *9 to raise your hand at this time, *6 to unmute, and I'll record your information for the record. And seeing no hands raised, we should get started in the next 2 minutes or so. Thank you. I am going to go ahead and put us in record mode. President Garcia, we are now in record mode.
Thank you very much, TJ. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting for the Board of Public Works for Wednesday, September 27th, 2023. TJ Knight.
Yes, good morning, President Garcia. TJ Knight, Assistant Executive Officer, taking role in establishing quorum. President Garcia, Vice President Villegas, Commissioner Corsand, and Commissioner Reyes are present. We do have a quorum. We've been notified that President Pro Tem Davis is running late this morning. I will make a note for the record when he does join us. We are also joined by City Attorney Representative Virginia Choi. Once again, I'm Assistant Executive Officer TJ Knight. President Garcia, we have no speaker cards under public comment, no neighborhood council commentary, and no speaker cards under any of our items this morning.
Very well. Given that we do not have public comment is now officially closed. Moving on to the first item in today's business, which is the approval of the minutes of Friday, September 8th, 2023. Is there a second to my motion to approve this item?
Second.
Thank you, VP Villegas. TJ Knight, there's a first by me and a second by VP Villegas to approve the minutes of Friday, September 8th, 2023.
Very good. We will take a roll call vote on this item, starting with you, Madam President.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
Commissioner Corsand.
Aye.
And Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
All ayes, and this is approved.
Very well. Thank you so much. We do not have, well, welcome everybody. Good morning once again on the fall September that we are in. And welcome to everybody that's joining us via the Zoom platform. We have a relatively short agenda today, so we should be able to get through this pretty quickly. Unless there's any other issues, we can start now. So we'll start with item number 1. This is a request from the Bureau of Engineering in Council District 8. Task order solicitation number 00088, Perkins and Will pre-qualified on-call consultants list, Manchester's Junior Arts Center project. Recommending the board to 1, authorize the city engineer to issue the task to Perkins and Will from the pre-qualified on-call architectural and related professional services consultants list to provide architectural, engineering, design, and construction administration services for the Manchester Junior Arts Center project as stated in task order number 088 with a budget authority of $954,000, including contingency. This morning here we have Mr. Haji Abdullah. See, I told you all the cool people are here today.
Did very well.
Hi, Haji.
Good morning, commissioners, executive officers, and city attorney staff. My name is Ohaji Abdullah with the Bureau of Engineering Architectural Division. Today we're presenting a report that seeks the authorization for Task Order 88 to provide design services for the Manchester Junior Arts Center with a...
Sorry to bother you. Can you get closer to the
Oh,
mic,
sure,
please?
sure.
Oh, much
With,
better. Yeah, fix it to your,
okay,
to
push
your,
it into my mouth. All right. With a budget authority of $954,000, including contingency. The Manchester Junior Arts Center, which was previously intended to be located at the Vision Theater site, has been re-envisioned and resited to occur at 5730 Crenshaw Boulevard, near the intersection of Slauson and Crenshaw. The existing one-story masonry building is approximately 3,100 square feet. And was originally constructed as a fire station in 1936. It was later replaced with a fire station in 1989, and the building received some seismic upgrades in accordance with the Vision 88, and was subsequently converted from a fire station to a public administration building in 1995. Hence, one of the reasons why we are seeking this site, as it has some of the structural retrofit elements done to this site, which makes it more appealing and has the space within the building and outside of the building to accommodate the Junior Arts Center programming at roughly 6,000 square feet. The overall project is composed of two lots encompassing roughly 19,000 square feet and is approximately 125 feet wide by 152 feet long. The existing building site is approximately 7,600 square feet with an adjacent parking lot that is approximately 11,400 square feet. So some of the sustainable design features for the project may include photovoltaic panels, energy efficient mechanical electrical systems that eschew any gas features, and new plumbing systems. The project will be designed and constructed to obtain a LEED Silver designation or higher. Council District 8 has a vested interest in this project's success, as it has a nexus with the Destination Crenshaw project and has committed discretionary funds that will be applied to the pre-design, design, and construction of the project. The council office has also conducted preliminary community outreach to gauge the community's support for the project, which construction costs are currently estimated to be around $11.5 million. I am available for any questions.
thank you so much, Haji, for your report. That 11.5 that you just mentioned, is that the total amount of the project?
That is the yes. Currently, the total that is the total construction cost.
Construction cost.
Construction cost for the project.
Okay, understood.
Yes.
Colleagues, any questions on item number 1? VP Villegas?
Oh, no questions, but I am glad that you're doing this project, so needed for either those that want to enjoy art or the teens that also want to benefit from it. Thank you so much.
Commissioner Corson?
Thank you. Have we identified the $11.5 million?
No, we have not identified the full construction or full project budget as of yet, but we will continue to do so through the CTIP, possible grant funds, a possible allocation of additional Prop K funds as well to the project as we move through the design process.
So what do you think once the architectural process is done, they can begin work?
I'm sorry.
When do you think they could begin work?
For the architectural?
Once that's done? Like post-architecture construction, can that start or?
Oh, absolutely. We are envisioning this. It has to start. This is a Proposition K project, which the Proposition K program sunsets in 26-27. So the city is on the hook to deliver this project and the remainder of the Proposition K project. So yes, we do intend to move right on into construction. We'll put in a CTIP request this year, next year, to build up the funding as we move forward towards the bid and award process.
Okay, thank you.
You got it.
Thank you, Commissioner Corson. Haji, this is part of a bigger effort, right? Is this part of the Destination Crenshaw, or is that two separate situations?
It's two separate situations, but clearly they're all within the same area.
That's what I meant.
Right, and so there's a nexus between those two, and then there's also been discussion of having a Destination Crenshaw Visitor Center on this site. and possibly a monument that acknowledges the efforts for Destination Crenshaw, sort of a signage, a large signage. And we're still working with the council office to figure out the best place for that on the site. We have a huge parking lot, so it may be a small modular structure that acts as the visitor center to ensure that we keep the kids safe from any visitors, just random visitors who want to
Right.
visit the site. Yes.
Understood. Will the construction aligned with the bigger effort of, revitalizing the Destination Crenshaw area?
Certainly, certainly.
Okay.
And I mean, obviously, that project is under construction now. I believe they're about 60 to 70% complete with their major project, and they'll be moving forward those other pieces of the project down Crenshaw towards this site.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, understood. Any other questions for Haji? Go ahead.
I don't have a question, but I just wanted to make my colleagues aware of this. BSL and I had visited CD8. We actually saw this site. And considering about closing the middle mile, this site is being considered to, once the construction is complete, that it could serve as a hub for all of the telecommunication equipment
nice.
to be basically ground zero to provide free Wi-Fi.
Oh, good. That's good to know. Thank you, Commissioner Corson, for adding context to this. I'm looking forward to all the upgrades and amenities and everything that's going to come to that area. It's just going to be a really nice, asset to the community, to the city all around. Yeah, it's really nice what's coming together. And I know the folks there in the community, at least when I went to the first event back before COVID, when they had, the ground opening event, there was a lot of excitement around what's coming there. So it's exciting to see that we continue and that we continue to revitalize that area that's very much not needed, but coming into the 21st, 22nd century, whatever century we're in now, first 20. But just really getting that up technology. And I know you've done a lot of great work. And I know, by the way, Hohaji is really known in the community. But mostly because Hohaji has really done a big effort to include many folks in the community, especially businesses, and recognize that work, Hohaji. You're doing great.
Thank you. And this is my old neighborhood. I
Oh, good. Yay.
Good.
54th and Crenshaw, and then we
Yeah.
moved to Leimert Park area.
Very
So
nice.
all of this is very familiar to me.
Yay. You're the right person. Definitely.
Thank
All
you.
right. Commissioner Reyes?
Just one suggestion or like a suggestion, a comment. Once this project is completed, I always look forward to adding like cooling centers because of our, climate issues when we have the heat storms, and also for especially in that neighborhood where they don't have a lot of shade and, other amenities. So I'm not sure, but I think because you will have activities there, it behooves us to identify it as one of our cooling centers in the near future as well and add it to the list.
Certainly. We are going to be working with DWP for the construction of a PV shade structure in the parking lot area that will be sort of multi-purpose. It'll accommodate, obviously, the many community functions, food truck events, art gallery events on an exterior, and we could also tie in some misters, et cetera, to those parking structures to create a cooling center area with a larger footprint than just the art center itself.
All right.
Certainly.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the comments.
All
Thank you.
right. Thank you very much, Commissioner Reyes. Any other questions? Hearing none. Any objections? Hearing none. Is there a motion on the table to move item number 1 forward and forthwith?
So moved.
Thank you, VP Villegas. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. TJ Knight, there's a first by VP Villegas and a second by Dr. Davis to move item number 1 forward and forthwith.
Very good. And for the record, I'd like to note that we have been joined by President Pro Tem Davis at 10:23 a.m. And we will take a roll call vote on item number 1, starting with you, Madam President.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Corsan.
Aye.
And Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
All ayes, and item number 1 is moved forward forthwith.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Have a good rest of the day. Moving on to item number 2, this is a request in Council District 14 for a street closure extension, Los Angeles Street to Spring Street, 7th Street Streetscape Improvement Project. Recommending the board to, 1, authorize the second extension of the temporary two-phase full closures of 7th Street from Los Angeles Street to Spring Street from August 26, 2023 through October 11, 2023 for the construction of the 7th Street Streetscape Improvement Project. Almost feel like I was saying a riddle there. Good morning, George. Come on, welcome.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is George Huang from the Bureau of Engineering. As mentioned, this is for the 7th Street Streetscape project. The project includes pedestrian amenities such as curb ramps, sidewalk, a bike lane, a cycle track, and also some striping and signals in the area. And we came to the board we're right now on the phase 4 of the project work, which is between Los Angeles Street and Spring Street. We came to the board to ask for a two-phased street closure back in March 1st, 2023. And then we also requested an extension for that closure. So the phase 4 is split into phase 4A and 4B. And basically, initially it was to allow DWP to work in one area for their relocation, and then our contractor to come in and work in the other area. So once DWP finished, then we would swap the 2-block road closure, and then DWP will work in the next area where our contractor worked where DWP finished. So that because of some scheduling conflicts with the DWP crew, we were not able to work within the original request. So we had asked for that first extension of the full street closures. Since then, we also came, so that expired August 26. So we're here to ask the board for a second street closure of up to October 11th. We understand that at the time right now it's already 2 weeks just from today for October 11th. So we had initially been coordinating with the council office, District 14, to extend maybe amend this report to have the end date of November 8th of 2023, just to give us a little bit enough time, to complete the work and also get the approvals that we need to move on to the next phase 5 of the work, which is from Spring to Hill. Since we're still working with the CD 14 office on pushing back the revised end date, we will not be requesting to amend at this time to change that October 11th end date in this board report. So we will, once we can get the information from the CD14 on that date, then we may introduce a motion back to the board to revise that second extension end date. And so right now the contractor is pretty much almost done with. We will be able to finish within the October 11th end date in terms of the physical construction. So right now we're working with DOT and the contractor to prepare the worksite traffic control plan for the next phase 5 closure. So that's sort of the reason why we're asking for the second extension is because of that. The DOT will not let our project release the phase 4B closure until the phase 5 implementation plan and the traffic control have been approved. So if we can finish sooner and get the approval from DOT, we may not need any additional time, the additional time that we may be seeking. So we're closely working and meeting with the council office and DOT to ensure the timely approval of those plans, so we can open up the phase 4B full closure. So this board report will not have any impact to our project budget, and we're not requesting for any additional budget increase. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, George, for your report. Just to be clear, for the purpose of today's board motion, you still want the October 11, 23 as the ending date?
That is correct. But we're still working with the CD14 office.
Okay, I'll keep it at that for now.
Right.
Okay, thank you for that. I just needed that clarity. VP Villegas?
Thank you. All right. I appreciate just the background information on this item and the street closure. And just so that we're clear, for now, we're going to, you're asking this board to approve this item as is. Is that correct?
That's correct, Commissioner.
Okay.
As is.
All right. And then once an agreement is, once a date has been agreed upon with Council District 14, you will come back with a motion to either extend the street closure or not. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And we hope it'll be sooner. Yeah. We hope if we can get the approval for the traffic control plans approved for the next phase, then we may not even need to extend the date. So this extension is not for the contractors finish. It's sort of to get our plans together and the approvals from our city agencies, so contractor can start implementing the next closure.
Okay. And so do you know if it's certain that we will have a motion by BOE to extend the street closure?
I think for contingency purposes, we will submit a motion to extend. So yes. And
Okay.
we'll get in contact with the CD14 again just to work out what that date is going to be.
Okay. All right. I know this project has been going on now for at least a year, probably a little bit longer, but you've been going block by block on this, or by 2 blocks. And then the event, I just want to put on for public record, in the event we do extend, the street closure, which we've done for other segments of this project, that just to go on record, if public notice will also be shared with those impacted on 7th Street.
Yes, absolutely. We have been informing the public, or at least putting our project schedule on the website through email blast as well, through our contacts that we received from our previous meetings. We also meet on a monthly with some of the property owners, like the buildings, along with the CD14 representatives, to give updates on the project. So
Okay.
they are informed.
And will they be like leaflet?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. We will make sure that the closure extension date is revised. The public has been informed already that we're already be going beyond.
I understand, yeah,
right.
yeah. It's just because it's been going on for some time. Okay,
Absolutely. Yes.
all right, thank you. No further questions.
Thank you.
You're okay with that, Sam? Okay. Any other questions, colleagues? Hearing none. Is there a motion on the table to move item number 2 forward and forthwith?
So moved.
Thank you, VP Villegas. Is there a second? Thank you, Commissioner Reyes. TJ Knight, there's a first by VP Villegas and a second by Commissioner Reyes to move item number 2 forward and forthwith.
Very good. And we will take a roll call vote, starting with you, Madam President.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Corsand.
Aye.
And Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
Item number 2 is approved and adopted and will move forward forthwith.
Thank you very much. So we expect you to come back again, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, no problem. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank
Have
you,
a good rest of the day.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 3, this is a request from Bureau of Contract Administration and Bureau of Engineering in Council District 14 for a contract acceptance Bushnell Way and Wheeling Way Bulkhead Project, recommending the board to, 1, accept this contract. And because we accepting contract, we get to see Steffi Wiles here.
Yes, good morning.
Steffi, good morning.
Good morning, President Garcia. Steffi Wiles, Bureau of Contract Administration, recommending this board accept this contract, which was awarded on December 18, 2019, under the Emergency Geotechnical Structural Construction Services on a competitive basis in the amount of $1,373,747.50 to Jilk Heavy Construction Incorporated. The contract was executed and its notice to proceed was issued on January 9, 2022. The project provided for construction of a new bulkhead new street pavement, sidewalks, stairs, retaining wall, and storm drain infrastructure to repair the intersection of Bushnell Way and Wheeling Way that have been damaged due to settlement and slope movement adjacent to the roadway. The project had a not-to-exceed value, and on December 21st, 2022, the board approved an increase in the contingency funding, giving a revised authorized budget of $1,741,868.45 even. There were 4 change orders issued increasing the contract amount, bringing the total cost of this project to $1,741,868.45. The project was completed at 26.8% above the awarded amount and 8.7% above the original not-to-exceed amount due to differing site conditions, as well as encountering removal of asphalt concrete 48 inches thick below the existing roadway. All final corrections in the construction was completed March 17, 2022. All funds were released to the contractor, and there were 11 progress payments made. There are no funds disputed or withheld, therefore no funds due the contractor. These funds came from Street Damage Restoration Fund number 41A and Special Tax Fund Improvement Funds 206. The contractors complied with all of the equal employment opportunity and labor compliance requirements of the contract, and due to the emergency nature of this contract, there was no MBWBE participation levels anticipated. There were no unresolved property owners' complaints in connection with this project, and that concludes my report.
Very well, thank you so much for that. Any questions? Any objections? Dr. Davis?
I want to move that we accept item 3.
Got it. So we're ready to move. Dr. Davis has a first. Is there a second? Thank you, Commissioner Corson. TJ Knight, there's a first by Dr. Davis and a second by Commissioner Corson to move item number 3 forward and forthwith.
Very good, and we will take a roll call vote on item number 3, starting with you, Madam President.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas. Aye. President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Corson.
Aye.
And Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
All ayes, item number 3 is adopted and will move forward forthwith.
Thank you so much. It's good seeing you. And we like these type of contracts with no disputes, no issues. Good to go. Thank you. Moving on to item number 4, this is a request from the Bureau of Engineering in all council districts for a budget increase task order solicitation number 067 for the Mayfair Hotel. Recommending the board to, 1, authorize the issuance of a revision of a task order number 067 to Gonzalez Goodell Architects, Inc., increasing the budget amount by $5,700,700 from $1,998,951 to $7,698,951 for homeless housing under the Shelter and Housing Program. 2, approve the transfer of authority from 100-78-003040 to 682-50-50 VVHF for $253,825.44 as shown in the tables below. And Ms. Quiñones is here this morning to tell us exactly what you are doing.
Good morning. I hope I didn't break this. Okay, got it. Good morning, President Garcia, VP Villegas, and commissioners. As part of the Marina Quiñones, Bureau of Engineering. As part of the Inside Safe initiative, the city has purchased a Mayfair Hotel, a historic building built in 1926, to provide 294 interim beds. Our motion today seeks to increase the ceiling to increase in work required for the Mayfair Hotel. Our task order 67 was approved on July 10th, 2020 to GGA. We have had Gonzalez Goodell Architects. We have had 2 subsequent increases, raising the ceiling to $1,998,951. Our consultant GGA has delivered 25 homeless housing projects with an expenditure of $1,456,851. Though the homeless program is exempt from BAP, GGA has consistently worked with consultants that are minority and small businesses. The acquisition of the Mayfair Hotel included the approval of over $22 million for BOE to manage renovations needed for occupancy. Some renovations include a full seismic retrofit, replacement of elevators, roofing, tenant improvements for medical staff, and a cost to hire a historic architect. Move-in target pending some of the major work is February 1st, 2024. It is coming quickly, and so we do need to augment city staff to be able to meet that expectation. The current request is to increase the ceiling another $5,700,000. Bringing the total to $7,698,951. We're also requesting approval to transfer authority from Fund 100 to Fund 682. The previous fund was from previous years, and the funding has been reallocated to the special fund 682. That includes my report. I don't, if you have any questions that I can answer.
Thank you so much, Ms. Quiñones. On top of everything you've done, you're still going to do this? Yes. Okay, thank
One more.
you. Yeah, one little piece of remodeling there that you have to get done from 1927.
26.
26. Okay, God, I gave you one more year. Any questions to Ms. Marina Quiñones? Dr. Davis?
Yes, thank you so much for bringing this proposal before us. As we think about the work that we're doing in terms of accommodating this issue, in terms of our acquisition of the Mayfair Hotel, this is a very important project. Can you just briefly summarize for me the choice for the Mayfair Hotel and what impact it will have?
The
on
what,
our-
I'm sorry?
This item, right, the Mayfair Hotel, correct?
Okay.
Can you discuss for me our choice of the Mayfair Hotel and what impact it will have on the work that we're doing in terms of accommodating housing for the homeless?
Sure. So this will provide 294 interim beds. And so as we've seen interim beds, it's much more than 294, right? People rotate about 60 to 90 days in and out. So it could potentially increase single and double occupancy. The first 2 years of the Mayfair occupancy will be specifically for Skid Row, people in Skid Row. There was a state fund that was specific for that. And so for 2 years, we will be assisting to clean up Skid Row. After 2 years, the council office will be able to use the hotel rooms for their specific council district. So it will alleviate beyond the council district that the Mayfair Hotel is in.
So based upon your discussion, the geographic location of the facility makes good sense as well in terms of us being able to have something in an area that is heavily impacted by homelessness.
Well-
In other words, being in the downtown homeless corridor, if you will. Is that correct?
Correct. It's impacting beyond the council district.
And in terms of our overall contribution to the problem, we have had to expand our capacity to house the homeless. And so we have acquired multiple properties, right? And how much impact will this have in terms of expanding our capabilities to, you said 296, right?
294 beds.
294. Have we done how many other properties are we also acquiring?
For now, I know that the CAO and the mayor's office are working on various properties. I don't know how many are in the process of acquiring. For now, the Mayfair is the first acquisition that we are working on.
Right.
Yeah.
It's very clear that this is a social problem that is of national stature, but specifically as it impacts the city of Los Angeles. If we are to achieve our goal to get people out of the environment into a safe place, we're going to have to expand our capacity to do so. And so we did not own many properties. You were doing obviously something with the tiny homes. But that as we have expanded our capacity to implement solutions, we need to build a bigger infrastructure of places to where we can locate or relocate, if you will, people. So this is the first towards that end.
Correct.
I would love to know in the future if we have a goal in terms of how much we would like to expand our capacity. Because you can't get people inside safe if you yourself, the city, doesn't have some inside safe places. I would imagine that perhaps we have partners that are nonprofits who assist us in placing individuals into inside safe locations. But it is absolutely crystal clear that if we are to achieve our goals successfully, we too are going to have to come to the table with a capacity of an infrastructure of places that are safe. So I see that this is obviously the first place that we're doing so.
Yeah, Dr. Davis, I just want to remind us that that homeless initiative is driven by the mayor's office. And so we BOE takes in the property and the land and gives it to BOE for redesign. So this is really a mayor's driven direction of what property and what locations BOE would work on.
Okay, so in fact, BOE has no understanding of if we have a goal in this regard.
Oh, no,
That
they
would be
do.
something
Oh, no,
that-
they do, they do.
Okay, so that's what I'm seeking to know.
So
I think that this is a great motion, and as a board member, I'm just pondering if there is a master plan, or if we have a short-term plan to expand past. I mean, the Mayfair alone, 296 alone, is not going to give us the possibility of achieving what we're seeking to achieve.
Right.
So
I
I was
could-
just wondering.
Yeah, I could note to you, Commissioner Davis, that BOE is involved right now with CAO and the mayor's office in
Right.
coming up with guidelines for an RFP for
Sure.
existing structures. And
Sure.
so we are involved in the process of developing something that could potentially bring a lot more, infrastructure for
Sure.
people to come inside
Absolutely.
safe. So we are part of the process right now, and so I
Sure.
do look forward to giving you more input.
Exactly.
As the program develops.
Exactly. And so that's exactly what I was asking. And I appreciate knowing that there is such planning taking place. And again, would be pleased to know our vision, our direction, and where we're headed, what our short-term plan is to help to resolve this issue. And I understand it's not going to happen overnight. So this really is the impetus for my thinking about and wondering about where we're headed. So thank you for that information.
Sure.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Marina, any other questions to Marina? Commissioner Corson?
I don't have a question, but I want to note that this is a highly aggressive timeline and a project that has a lot of eyes on it. And Marina and the team, I've toured a few bridge housing sites, tiny village sites that were very difficult to build on. So I just want to acknowledge the work you've done. And this is, I'm thankful that you are there. Hopefully, it sounded like President Garcia was saying you could be leaving, but hopefully not.
No, no plans.
I'm glad you're there and your team is there working on this and confident that the project will meet its timeline and its goals and be ready to go because there are a lot of eyes on it.
Yes.
And I know it's a huge priority, not just for the mayor, but for the city itself. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Corson. I agree. This BOE has really taken on this task of a very expedited construction. When Ted Allen, we spoke about it, and my question was, are you guys going to be able to do this? And his answer was, yes, we are. Marina's on it. So-
I had one other little comment.
Sure. So I just want to thank you and the BOE crew and everybody at BOE for accepting this challenge, really. And I know that you guys will get it done. You have tremendous amount in experience as a department to work under pressure and really making it right and just for everybody. So I just want to say that we support you, we support the team, and as commissioners, anything that you need to make that happen, we really want to be there for your team as the next, 9 months of construction?
It's probably going to come down to 3 once we have a contractor on board.
Yikes.
We've already started working with GSD to start preliminary work. So
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, the record breaking. Okay, Marina, please know that you count on our support here.
Thank you.
I have Dr. Davis.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I had one other question. what impact will the work that we're doing in this area have on our contracting community? In other words, individuals who or subcontractors, if you will, and inclusiveness, business inclusion, if at all.
Yeah, so we are exempt from BIP, but GGA has hired consultants that are minority and small businesses. So we are addressing it in that way. Construction forces will be GSD. They do hire off the hall.
Sure.
So there is no CLC possibility there. But as we look long term for the major work, the seismic retrofit, the replacement of elevators, which is a huge task, we definitely will look forward to the possibilities for that in the future.
That's great. And one final comment in terms of if some of those subs are able to inculcate those individuals who may have been from the homeless community to get some training, to get some employment on it, that would really be ideal and really be a project demonstrating excellence. So as we move forward, if we could ever achieve such an opportunity that the very targeted population would have an opportunity to directly benefit economically, if you will, if it is at all possible, then I think that would be just great.
Noted. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Commissioner Reyes.
First of all, thank you for taking this on. I know it's in good hands, and it's really, you're going to fast track it. So kudos to you, and if you need any support, the board is here, very supportive of this project. But one of the things that was mentioned at our Bureau Heads meeting this morning was about the equipment and the furniture that's existing there. And so in terms of recycling and repurposing and all that, if we could just work closely with our sanitation folks so that they can provide some guidance on or direction as to where we could donate those, or where who else can benefit by using whatever furniture or equipment that's currently there, because I know we're going to retrofit the entire building itself, and there will be lots of those materials that should be diverted away from our landfill. So
Thank you for that. We are working with GSD. Some conversations have come up about donations. There are Salvation Army, the Habitat for Humanity. They have areas warehouses where they store these sorts of items, like the beds, mattresses, couches in the lobby that are, really nice. So we are working through that to be able to donate those items.
perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner Reyes. VP Villegas?
Hi, thank you. Just a quick question, and thank you. Good morning, Marina. Good to see you again. Just a quick question. The authorization that's before us today, if you could just give a little bit more just clarity. This is for design?
The 5.7
Architectural-
million, yes, that's available for GGA to complete design for this initial work, which is to move in by February 1st, and then the long-term work, which is the seismic retrofit elevators and roofing replacement.
Okay, and I guess the overall assessment of this 1926 building, will that be done by GSD?
So that was completed for acquisition by CBRE and
got
and
it.
BOE. So we both kind of entities work together to complete the assessment.
Okay, and so those elements are being considered by this architecture firm to include in their design
Correct.
for the lacking of infrastructure, just because it's an old building.
Correct.
With sprinklers, with the adequate ADA, all of that kind of.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to put that on public record, and having done, some other work on historical buildings in the past, I know that these are really costly and time-consuming, so it's good just to put it on public record so that everyone knows that that's already been, established.
Correct.
And it's already been done. Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Great, thank you very much, Vice President Villegas. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Hearing none, is there a motion on the table to move item number 4 forward and forthwith?
So moved.
Thank you, VP Villegas. Is there a second? Thank you, Dr. Davis. TJ Knight, there's a first by VP Villegas and a second by Dr. Davis to move item number 4 forward and forthwith.
Very good, and we will take a roll call vote on item number 4, starting with you, Madam President.
Aye.
President Villegas,
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis,
Aye.
Commissioner Corsand, and Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
All ayes. Item number 4 is approved and adopted, and will move forward forthwith.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ms. Quiñones. Have a good rest of the day.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 5, this is a request in all council districts for an AFE, National Association of Clean Water Agencies. The Bureau of Sanitation and the Office of Accounting are requesting board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $90,335 to encumber funds to pay for the 2023 National Association of Clean Water Agencies membership renewal for the period of October 1st, 2022 to September 30th, 2023. Authorize the president or 2 members of the Board of Public Works to execute the service agreement. And this morning, we have Mr. Jim Marchese.
Marchese.
Say it again?
Marchese.
Marchese. I might be saying it wrong still, sorry.
No worries.
Jim.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Good morning. Thank you. Good morning, President Garcia, Board Commissioners, City Attorney, Executive Officer. My name is Jim Marchese. Let that ring a little bit. I'm the Acting Division Manager for the Regulatory Affairs Division at LA Sanitation and Environment. I'm here today to speak on item 5. LA Sanitation is seeking your approval to pay the National Association of Clean Water Agencies, also known as NACWA, annual membership dues in the amount of $90,335. The membership fee is based on service area population and varies between $800 and $90,335. The fee is proportionate, which allows for smaller agencies access to membership benefits. NACWA offers regulatory, legal, and legislative advocacy on behalf of the water sector and delivers up-to-date information and analysis on key water sector issues. NACWA has provided advocacy at the U.S. Congress on federal funding for clean water agencies and is working on with the U.S. Congress and the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, on PFAS and microplastics. NACWA represents more than 350 public agency members nationwide, from POTWs, wastewater conveyance and collection systems, and stormwater management agencies, ranging in size from large metropolitan areas, county agencies, to small towns and communities across the nation. The City of Los Angeles and LA San benefit from being a member of this organization by receiving support and advice on technical and regulatory compliance issues and in the exchange of ideas, solutions, and best practices. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Very well. Thank you so much for that presentation this morning. Any questions, Dr. Davis?
Yeah, very good in terms of our membership here. We are one of the larger members within the agency, and I guess with our other big city brother and sister organizations. And you have mentioned that we have really been able to absorb some of the best practices, I guess, nationally. Is this organization one that recognizes excellence in practices that member organizations execute?
Yes, it does. As a matter of fact, LA Sanitation has received those awards in the past.
Wow.
Additionally, we have had some of our executive team in leadership roles at the organization as well.
Wonderful. So we're one of the exemplars nationally in terms of the way in which we run our clean water system here in Los Angeles, correct?
Yeah, I love the way you say that. We've been recognized as having excellence in both wastewater and clean water operations, as well in our conveyance system.
Mm-hmm. Does any issue come to mind in terms of what we've been able to adopt from other practices, from other brother and sister agencies in the country that are members of what is it, NACWA?
NACWA, National
from
Association
NACWA.
of Clean
Have
Water
you,
Agencies.
to your mind, remembered anything that we've been able to adopt that's been quite an asset to what we do in terms of what we've been able to get from brother and sister agencies that are members?
Yeah, I would say there's a number of best management practices. There's an annual conference in which we have representation both on the panels and the committees, and where that exchange is occurring. I would say some of our stormwater best management practices have been identified through that association. some of our clean water technology, maybe some of the future technology like membrane bioreactor technology has also been talked about in those forums.
Great. Now, in terms of research, does the organization also, is it responsible for journals in the industry where people share research in terms of clean water practices? And do they kind of document their own systems and the works that they have done in a publication? Is there a monthly publication that offers that kind of contribution of practices?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a journal per se, but
I
I
see.
do understand that the information is freely shared among the membership agencies and it is published.
Is there a national conference that the association has for which all members participate at the conference, or is there not?
Yeah. So they do sponsor a national conference, a fly-in. Typically, it's held on the East Coast, and that is conducted annually.
And the way that the organization is structured, is there a regional organization to this association as well? Is it regionally divided as well, or is it just one national participation?
So the way that NACWA is set up, although it has national representation, it is the broader sort of focus for water sector. We do at LA Sanitation participate in a number of regional associations, including the California Association of Sanitation Agencies,
Got it.
CASA, and CASCA, which is the equivalent in the stormwater quality arena as well. And so, our participation to address local California and regional issues is usually handled through those associations, and then the broader sort of bigger picture items like microplastics and PFAS are being addressed sort of on the national level.
So the regional associations are in affiliation with the national?
Yeah, many of the members are participants in both associations.
Great.
As we are.
Great. Well, thank you so much for presenting this motion to us and sharing the information with us in terms of our participation and how it has been an asset to what we do with our clean water system here in Los Angeles. Thank you for that.
Thank you so much, Dr. Davis. Any other questions, colleagues? VP Villegas?
Thank you. And I'm glad we're able to bring this back to us this year, and just know the commissioners also have access to the website just by logging in and keeping up with what NACWA does as well, and reading any of their advocacy and white papers that they have on their website. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, VP Villegas. Any other questions? Commissioner Reyes?
Just a comment, I think one of the benefits that we also get is mostly on regulatory and legislative, because clean water is now subject to a lot of those regulations and compliance issues. So NACWA has a lot of those information and some peer exchange with other municipalities or members of the organization.
Thank you.
Very well. Well, we pay $90,000. We should have access to all of that. That's what I'm saying. Thank you so much. All right, any other questions, comments, concern? Hearing none. Is there a motion on the table to move item number 5 forward and forthwith?
So moved.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you, Commissioner Reyes. TJ Knight, there's a first by Dr. Davis and a second by Commissioner Reyes to move item number 5 forward and forthwith.
Very good. And we will take a roll call vote on item number 5, starting with you, Madam President.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas. President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Corsand.
Aye.
And Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
All ayes. Item number 5 is approved and will move forward forthwith.
Thank you very much. Have a good rest of the day. All right, colleagues, we have finished all voting items. We are now in our oral report section. And today we are here, Office of Forest Management is here joining us. Welcome. Good to see you all. And we will have an update on our Office of Forest Management here at the board. Rachel Malrich, who is the office director, will be presenting along with her colleagues Tansy. And can you please introduce your new colleague?
I'll be introducing her as
Oh,
I get
perfect.
started. So
Got it.
thank you
Part
so
of your
much.
presentation.
Good morning, President Garcia and Commissioners. Really excited to be here and pleasure to provide an update on the work of the Office of Forest Management. Again, we were created in 2019 to coordinate activities related to the urban forest across city departments, be a technical expert for the leadership of the city on urban forest issues and trees, and to develop and implement the city's first urban forest management plan. And as you alluded to, I do want to acknowledge the staff. That for a very long time, I was attending and providing my oral report as a party of one, an office of one. But I do want to acknowledge that I have with me here today Tansy Cole, who's our Deputy Program Manager, who's been with the office for a year and a half and plays a role in contracts. She supports our work with our Community Forest Advisory Committee, which is a standing committee of your board. She also provides project management and helps us with our budget development, just keeping the office going on the day-to-day. We also have a new environmental specialist who joined our team at the end of last month, so she's been here for about a month. That's Clarissa Boyajian. She has a background in both nonprofit and urban forest management planning, and has a master's in environmental data science. And so she's going to be providing some technical support for projects in our office and the policy development we're working on, including as we move forward, thinking about our data analysis and visualization. So as we start to move to the UFMP, have metrics that we're tracking, how are we visualizing those and making those accessible to the public? So really excited to have her join the small team, join Tansy and I in the work of our office. So as a reminder, today I'm going to be just sharing again what our office is working on with a real focus on the UFMP. The last time I came before your board, I gave a focus on our equity projects. Today I'm going to be doing a bit of a focus on the UFMP. So again, our office priorities currently is working on tree preservation policy and working on improving procedures related to tree preservation. We're working on the urban forest management plan, specifically that community engagement campaign, and we are working on addressing the critical and chronic issue of tree canopy equity for the city of LA. Additionally, in addition to those priority areas which take up most of our time, we also support the Community Forest Advisory Committee, and over the past 6 months, Tansy has worked with them to work on some draft bylaws, which now are under review by the city attorney for some feedback, and we've helped them transition from the virtual platform to having a hybrid meeting that is in person to be compliant with the Brown Act, but also virtual to allow for increased public participation. We found during the pandemic that they had really robust participation from more Angelenos in their meetings when we had it on a virtual platform. So our office has supported them in continuing and having that virtual option to engage more members of the public in the conversation around trees. We've also been supporting the City Plants nonprofit organization that's a partner of the city. Their executive director moved on to a role with the state's CAL FIRE agency in July, and so our office has been providing some support to that team during that transition. We also have been, again, under Tansy Cole's leadership, moving forward with a fee study for the tree guarantee to make sure that it is along with current costs and making sure that that program runs smoothly moving forward. And lastly, we're working on coordination of grant-funded projects as we have time and availability, and this will be an increased effort on for our office in the next coming months because the U.S. Forest Service has released their latest round of grant funding from the IRA funds, and 5 projects were awarded in Los Angeles, and we really take seriously that we want projects delivered in LA with those funds to be coordinated for really great service to our residents and making sure that there's no overlap between those projects that causes any bumps in the road, so for smooth implementation. So again, a brief overview of our core areas with, again, that deep dive on the UFMP. First, I'll just share an update on tree preservation. In August, we worked with Department of City Planning, Streets LA, and the Department of Building and Safety to deliver a joint report back on Council File 150499-S2. Just rolls off the tongue. This document, which is 24 pages long, provides a real comprehensive view of all the work we've been doing related to tree preservations, the various policies that planning has been working on that are going to improve some of our preservation policy and practice, different efforts of the Bureau of Street Services, the Streets LA's Urban Forestry Division related to this, and the ongoing collaboration that are happening across those departments in addition to the work of my office. And that is, again, a snapshot in time of the work we've done over the past several years and shares some of the work that we're continuing to work on moving forward. Overall, we've been working on thinking through how we can improve the implementation of our current policy, because there is this request for us to strengthen, enhance, and expand the protected tree ordinance and our tree preservation policies for a healthy urban forest. And we know that the current policy was having some bumps in the road. So we've really focused on how do we get tree review early in project development, how do we support applicants in being able to do that. And this report shares some of those efforts if you want to get into the details. Next, we have our tree canopy equity. I'll just flag that again, we have two projects working with our Office on Tree Canopy Equity. One is an interdepartmental team from USC called the Urban Trees Initiative. And the second group is kind of a who's who of urban forestry folks that's known as the Urban Forest Equity Collective. And I will flag that USC is also part of this group, as well as the South LA Tree Coalition, which is a new nonprofit serving South Los Angeles related to trees, in addition to our traditional partners that we utilize. So this is a really robust project. Just an update on those two, which I shared more about in my last presentation in March. USC, since my last presentation, has published their Phase 2 project story maps on their website, so you can go and see their recommendations for University Park, Boyle Heights, and the unincorporated county area of City Terrace. And they have also launched their Phase 3, which includes some really exciting air quality research. They're working with a nursery in South Los Angeles to test trees that we typically use as street trees in some different configurations to see how they perform in improving air quality. So that's an ongoing an update on kind of what they've completed and one of the things they're working on. And then Urban Forest Equity Collective completed outreach neighborhood meetings and a survey in their two pilot neighborhoods of Sylmar and Central Alameda. And they're working on developing the final report for their 2-year project, which is, I'm really excited to see that happening before the end of the year, and we'll be excited to share with your board the findings from that project. The next steps for our office is really implementing. These two projects have given us tremendous amounts of data and findings on what we need to do, that business as usual is not going to get us to our tree canopy goals. And so that will be the work of our office moving forward, is taking those findings and the community feedback and thinking through what do projects look like that implement those recommendations. That brings us to the Urban Forest Management Plan, or UFMP. Again, we don't achieve the benefits and services that we desire from our trees without having a strong plan that looks at planting, maintenance, preservation, and engagement. We are partnering with the county to provide regional leadership on technical areas, and we're doing a joint community engagement campaign to be efficient with public funds and to practice doing joint messaging around trees. So I'm going to go right into, there it is. So when we develop the UFMP, we look at the current status of the urban forest, which includes our inventories. The park tree inventory was completed in March of 2021, and the street tree inventory is anticipated to be completed by the end of this calendar year. We are so close. That project is, again, being led by Streets LA, but is really exciting that we'll have a full inventory of our public managed trees by the end of the year. We're also doing that review of policies and practices. That's ongoing. And then we have to include community engagement. It's on my slide here, it's the third point, but we know it's an ongoing effort. My office receives feedback on a continual basis around tree issues, and it's really important as we develop the UFMP to make sure that the plan represents the priorities and values of our residents. And so I want to provide an overview of the community engagement campaign we have that is rolling out and moving forward. So we're starting with a series of community expert workshops, which is what I'm going to share with you about. Those were completed by the end of July of this year, and now we're in the process of engaging in subcontracting with local community-based organizations to help us deliver the community survey and 25 neighborhood workshops. There'll be 25 in the county and 25 in the city of Los Angeles. After we conduct those workshops, which are anticipated October, late October through January, February of this coming year, we'll be taking back those findings and coming forward with the draft recommendations to share at open houses to do another feedback loop with the community. So those community expert workshops that we completed included, we invited people from a variety of sectors. Some folks may think we went to our tree nonprofits, but we obviously invited them, but we also invited folks that work in workforce development, health, transportation, other public infrastructure areas, and also just serve residents in some of our highest need communities, and invited them to come and dialogue with us, have a high-level conversation before we start the UFMP. The workshops were engaging with trees in our community. So what does a good community engagement campaign look like in their minds? What does that now and moving forward? We talked a little bit about resilience to climate change in our workshop around healthy trees, resilient communities. We talked about trees on private property, which your board is very familiar with as you end up hearing about those issues time and again related to the protected tree ordinance, but getting feedback on private property trees from those experts. We talked about biodiversity and ecosystems, trees as infrastructure, so looking at our park trees and public right-of-way trees, and concerns that community members have, priorities that they have. And then lastly, the sixth workshop was on workforce and economic development. These workshops were all held in person. We had a seventh workshop that was a virtual workshop to share a summary of the findings with the participants, but was a wonderful time to dialogue with those partners and also see some connections between groups that hadn't seen each other since before the pandemic or were new to urban forestry work, have them connect and get to know each other and see some opportunities for collaboration. I'm going to just share some draft findings from the very first workshop, which is again around community engagement. This is, again, just a sample of what we heard. We heard that when we engage our communities, we should be including communication events in multiple languages, make sure that the people delivering the workshops represented and reflected the community that they were engaging with, provide fun and welcoming in educational activities, leverage opportunities for collaboration. So again, not recreating the wheel or doing things that are standalone, but actually collaborating with existing community events. Acknowledge past unfulfilled commitments. So we heard, some communities have had planning efforts that then didn't result in action. And so they recommended that we, of course, acknowledge that that has happened and kind of talk about next steps in that area. And then create safe space for different conversations and deep listening, which has been a part of my work prior to the coming to the city. A huge value for me is that when we're working in communities, we have to spend more time listening than talking. And then we did have this theme around focusing on renters as one part of the population that may not frequently have good access to giving feedback or may have specific concerns that we might need to be aware of as we develop our plan. So that's kind of, again, just a snapshot of the wonderful, rich information, and I have a photo here of the participants in that first workshop. But again, we had these opportunity to have these 6 3-hour listening sessions with these on these topic areas with our experts to really set us off on the right foot as we now are preparing for those neighborhood workshops. Again, what do we need to provide to the community as background to help them give us good feedback, and then what questions should we be asking or information we should be prepared to address, and that's been part of the ongoing conversation as we develop the content for those workshops. So moving forward, that's going to be taking up a lot of our time. Those 25 workshops are going to happen in the next 3 to 6 months. And again, small but mighty team, and we have the consultant team and the subcontractors, but we're going to be pretty laser focused on making sure that those are delivered at a high level and have the content that that our office is interested in seeing delivered, and also the kind of engagement we expect with our residents. We're also going to be working on releasing the task order solicitation for the UFMP technical consultant, and then we're going to be providing the ongoing support for the projects I've mentioned earlier. Again, tree preservation is a high priority, equity is a high priority, and then we have these other smaller projects that we're facilitating as well. And with that, I know it's a little bit longer update, but there's a lot going on that I know that your board has been so supportive of, and I wanted to make sure that we gave you a little bit of a deeper dive on what we're working on, but happy to answer any questions you may have.
Well, thank you very much, Rachel, for your update. It's always so good to hear all the great things you have going on. I'll let my colleagues answer, but I have 2 questions. One is, where were those workshops held? Those on June and May?
I believe that our first one might have been end of May, and then we went through to the first week of July.
Where were they held?
Oh, sorry. So we had a variety of locations. We had one held at the Natural History Museum, one at the Gracie Simmons Lodge in Elysian Park, and then the remainder were held at the Magic Johnson Recreation Center in South LA, which had their calendar was a little bit more accommodating of our workshop schedule and the size of the participants we were expecting.
Correct. And then you have more scheduled, did I hear correctly, 25 more workshops upcoming?
Yes, so those were our community expert workshops where, again, we said, hey, some of our key partners, we want to hear from you first and get some initial feedback on what we should be preparing for when we develop the content for those neighborhood workshops. So they were our brain trust in helping us think through some of those topics. And then we're, again, working on the content and who the hosts will be, where the locations will be for those 25 neighborhood workshops. There'll probably be a couple that are virtual to accommodate folks that aren't able to attend the one in their community that night, or maybe more comfortable, and that option kind of trying to cover our bases. But right now we're working on the subcontracting with who's going to be hosting. I'll flag within that I have met with all but one council office. They're scheduled, but I haven't met with them yet. But I've met with all the council, nearly all the council offices, to get feedback on, here are the partners in your district. Are we missing anyone that you use as a trusted messenger or you think should be looped in? And to also brief them on where we are in the project, because many of them, we've got obviously some new council members that may not be as familiar with the UFMP project, so we provided just a brief overview of the project and then what's coming in their district to get some feedback on key partners that we should keep in mind. And the mayor's office attended all of those briefings with the council office, so they've also been sitting in on and hearing the feedback from those representatives.
Very well. That's a very good strategic way of doing it, and it just really makes sure that not only the council offices are involved, but the key stakeholders of each community are involved as well. When you have a calendar or a map of where you're hosting all 25, can you pass it along to all of us here at the board? We just want to make sure, one, we support you, but two, just want to make sure where we're hitting, and perhaps even attend some of these workshops.
Yeah, we would love that. I definitely was hoping that we would have both of those items for you today. And I will say, not just for the board, but the plan is to make that obviously publicly available, the list of workshops, their locations, and the geographies that they're servicing, so that everybody knows when the workshops, where they're happening. But we'll provide that to the board as soon as we have it.
Very well, thank you. I have Dr. Davis with the light on, and I don't see anyone else.
Good. Thank you so much, Rachel, for the report. And I appreciate the outreach that we're doing in the community. I think that's outstanding, and the various workshops. And I agree with our president. It would be helpful once we do have a list of where the workshops are to be able to have that and to share that information with others with whom we have contact. As you gave your report, there were a couple of questions I had in terms of tree preservation. You mentioned the whole issue about pondering the policy. And I guess you said that in the work that you do around tree preservations, you collaborate with the Urban Forestry Division of Street Services. Is that correct?
Yes.
And in that infrastructure of relationships, is there any other policy agency involved other than just you and Urban Forestry?
Oh, we would not be able to do it by ourselves, that's for sure. So the Department of City Planning, the Bureau of Engineering, and Department of Building and Safety, they're not all in all the same meetings, but there is a monthly meeting that we have with Urban Forestry Planning and BOE to talk through public right-of-way issues on projects and kind of how we make some decisions around tree preservation there, or improve practices that aren't working. You know, talking about how we can solve some of the issues that all the departments and agencies have seen as outstanding. And then we've had this collaboration with Building and Safety, which again is somewhat detailed in the report, where we've said last year in June 2022, planning adopted a tree disclosure statement. So any project coming into Department of City Planning is saying they're being put on notice. First of all, we have these policies that protect trees, and you're going to need to provide a tree report and get a permit if you want to do work around those trees. So that planning adopted, but we know planning cases only represent about 10% of all the development permits that are happening within the city. And so now we've been working with Building and Safety. The disclosure statement doesn't work for them as it is within their processes, but we've been looking at what we can do with them to flag early for applicants for their kinds of permits, to catch those early and make sure that they're properly referred to Urban Forestry Division. And that's been, again, with the leadership from Streets LA and Urban Forestry Division, myself, again, some wonderful participation from the mayor's office, which we really appreciate, and the Department of Building and Safety, thinking through how we can be collaborative and, again, not burden staff with additional tasks or things that are not appropriate for their team, but make sure that those communication channels are really open and functioning well.
Great, glad to hear that. Now, what role, if any, does CFAC play?
So CFAC is obviously our advisory committee, so we share updates with them and get feedback on projects. They have things that they flag for us as concerns in the community. That's one of the things I really see, is providing us that feedback of what they're seeing on the ground in their neighborhoods, areas and issues where the city needs to improve. The unfortunate thing is the policy changes that some of those complaints represent are taking time to implement. They've given us really valuable feedback, and then we are moving forward with those steps of working on the interdepartmental communication, getting feedback from city attorney and policymakers on how to make the changes that they've identified for us. So sometimes I think it's a little frustrating. They've, laser focused. They've found some of the problems and shared them with us, and we're working on solving them, but it's taking time. So they provide us that wonderful feedback. They've also provided some tremendous leadership in terms of bringing different resources to our attention. I know that they worked on making us aware of the Biophilic Cities opportunity, which now the city is a member of the Biophilic Cities organization. And they've also brought some really fantastic speakers to their meetings of the past year to share kind of inspirational and best practices for us to consider.
Great. You mentioned trees on private property. And often I get an opportunity to go to neighborhood associations to talk about public works issues. And often the issue of trees will come up. But in particular, over the last one I attended, there was an issue of a tree on a private property of a lady who was 93 years old, and obviously she has limited resources. And we know that perhaps the regular practice is that when a tree is on private property, that we do nothing, that you're responsible. But my question to you, having heard this report, having heard you talk about the Urban Tree Coalition and the Urban Forest Management Plan and all of that, are there any resources from the various people we deal with that might be able to help such a citizen who is a senior citizen by all measures and maybe not have resources, but the tree needs to be trimmed on her private property? Are there any such agencies with whom we deal that might be able to help such a person?
We don't have any current resources that I'm aware of, but there's two things I want to flag. One is that community expert workshop that focused on trees on private property. One of the topics we talked about was education and additional resources that we may need to provide, especially as we continue to see in the equity work that trees on private property play a really critical issue. But we know that the residents are bearing the burden of that tree from beginning to end. And so there has been this conversation of what is the right role of the city for private property trees, and that's something that the UFMP will be providing some recommendations on in detail. The second thing I'll flag is that our partners at CAL FIRE have reminded me of a program. I'd heard about it at the last annual conference, but they shared with me that the program is expanding. There's a project being done in a couple other cities called Tree Zillions, being led by the Nature Conservancy, that looks at providing resources to those homeowners, saying, you know, when we come in to do work in a community, maybe we need to provide resources in terms of having, a relationship with an arborist company that will come in and do the removal. What you need most is actually not a new tree planted, but an existing hazardous tree removed, or providing maintenance, or providing advice on pest management. And so CAL FIRE has flagged for us that our office might consider putting together a grant application to bring a program like that to Los Angeles in a pilot phase in the future. And that's definitely something that we're considering as we think about, again, there's some capacity issues on developing and implementing the grants, but that's a project that has been flagged for us and that we're considering at this time, because we know it's a huge issue, especially in some of our areas that have older single-family homes. They have these beautiful trees. We don't want people to have that bad tree story of what they remember of that tree was that it was a burden to their grandmother, that it was a problem for their family to deal with. We want them to have the positive memories of the shade, the beauty, the nature that comes into their neighborhood. And so, again, figuring out what is the role of the city in that realm is one of the questions we're contemplating.
Well, I hope that I'm able to touch bases with you and trying to find a solution to help. Not every day do our citizens get to reach 93 years old. And I just believe that this particular constituent ought to have some help given the circumstance. And I hope I'm able to touch bases with you, and maybe we can come up with somebody who might be able to help this particular constituent. I mean, oftentimes people are working and they have families and so forth and so on. But I think that there's a certain role that we play in neighborhood associations of being a good neighbor, that even though government doesn't have funding, that we can work together to resolve neighborhood problems. And this is one such problem that came to my mind, the fact that, again, she was 93 years old and needed some help. I'd hate for us to just, keep on going on with our day. So I want to talk to you off record about that. Additionally, you mentioned that tree canopy equity. And obviously, there are some areas of the city where, in fact, by the nature of how our neighborhoods are designed, there aren't many trees. And I understand perhaps even in the valley, there are a lot of areas where there are not a lot of trees. What is our philosophy around tree canopy equity? What is it that our plan is that we're trying to implement around those areas that don't have the ample enough trees? Is there some targeted effort that we implement around that area? Just trying to find out.
Yeah, so the previous goal that we were working on was defined in the Green New Deal as increasing high-need areas by 50% by 2028, and that's what really started some of these research projects, is those researchers said, that's a goal that we can try and help the city with, and that's what brought them to the table. I think the UFMP, we are gonna have to set a canopy target for the city, and our team is thinking about, I don't actually want a citywide target because then you get an average rather than saying, here's what each neighborhood should have. And so that's one of the questions we've been talking about with our research partners is, what is the right amount of tree coverage to make sure that people are healthy and safe, and obviously collaboration with our other groups like the Office of our Community Emergency Mobilization Office, who's also thinking about heat resilience. It's a linked problem. So we're thinking about what is the right amount of trees for Los Angeles. Again, with in mind, we don't have unlimited space and water, and we have other priorities. So that balancing act is what we've been contemplating with those research projects. I think for me, I don't have a specific target aside, the Green New Deal was the first time a target was set, and I would tell you that that target in some communities is not high enough. 50% in a 3% canopy area gets you to 4.5%. That's not enough. So the UFMP will help us define what that target is and have a very clear, public delineation of what our goals are. In the meantime, we've been looking at these neighborhoods, these pilot neighborhoods that represent different neighborhood characteristics. Again, we've got Sylmar and Central Alameda. Central Alameda is really industrial, mostly multifamily homes. Sylmar is a little more single-family homes, different contexts, both have tree canopy equity issues, and we've engaged with those residents about what kinds of things they would prioritize, what are pain points in their community. We've done some mapping exercises. We've overlaid with other city projects with Vision Zero and Mobility Plan, trying to understand the context of those neighborhoods and then come back with recommendations. The next phase for us is then, and I've been working on it concurrently to the research projects, but the next phase is, what does it look like for us to potentially cut concrete or open up a program that prioritizes a specific and targeted campaign for canopy increase in those neighborhoods on private property, which we'd partner most likely with city plants and that collaborative on delivering through some of the DWP funds that are looking at private property. But that's really the next phase for our office, and we've been able to move with the capacity we have as quickly as we can with, was 2 people, now 3 people. But that's something that we're definitely thinking about, is what is the right role of our team? How can we continue to convene the other departments and facilitate that conversation, and then potentially lead a couple projects that are going to be maybe more innovative, trying something new, which, as a large bureaucracy, we don't feel super comfortable. And so we all have to be on the same page. And that kind of negotiation is what's going to take some time, and what we've been working on while the teams have been getting that community feedback. That next phase is, how do we build a project in those neighborhoods, or a program? It is either private property focused program or a public right-of-way reconfiguration to accommodate more shade for the public to be healthy and safety as they're in the community, and reach our other goals around, having pedestrian access and multiple modes of transportation and things like that.
Thank you very much. That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Any other questions, colleagues? Seeing none. Thank you so much, Rachel, for this morning. Thank you, Tansy, and welcome aboard to our new Office of Forest Management. What was your name again?
Clarissa.
Clarissa, welcome. All right, colleagues, anything else? Hearing none, it is now 11:33, and this meeting is officially adjourned. Thank you so much. Have a good rest of the week, everyone. Bye.